MC. Okay, guys, story time with Ronnie, the time machine. We got chapter 4, part 3 for us. Today, we're going to be rolling out of Arizona State Park, Lyman Lake, up in the kind of north central eastern part of it. You can camp on the beach. Um, If it's too hot for you there, they got some cabins, and some of them got AC in them. And I see that one there's got an accessible on it, so they got that. It's a nice little state park. They got everything. They got a lot of hiking trails and a lot of petroglyphs to be found. Um, and a little store and a marina. You can go fishing. Um, Lots of these little cabanas around. And all of the sites, well, the site we had anyway, was site number right on the corner there, and all of them had those nice big Ramada things there. They're concrete, each side of the shade, that's for sure. We got a nice view of the lake. It was real nice little state park. That site there, again, site number, I don't remember. We didn't even have to unhook the Jeep, so that's good. So today, I figured we'd tell this story and we'd start you off riding in the Jeep as we're getting towed. So you get to be like Kermit the Frog back there. I gotta get me a Grover or something and tape his hands to the steering wheel, but I'm afraid it might get me some unwanted attention. All right, so we'll let you cruise around in the back of that thing for a while, and the camera that's in that Jeep is it's a Verb, and it's recording 360. So I'll spin it around, and we'll do some goofy stuff. The truth of it is the most exciting part about the drive is right here in Lyman Lake State Park, because once you get out there on the road's rougher than rough, and there's just nothing there. It's a high desert plateau, and there's just not a whole lot to see. It's big and open, but there's not a whole lot to see. So I thought I'd do something goofy with this, and we're just going to roll from here on into Sholo, and then we'll call it quits. I won't make you ride in the Jeep all the way to Sholo. Anyway, let's take a look at this story. We's on, I said, chapter 4, part 3 for us, chapter 4. So, here we go. We got the time machine. So, okay. I don't know. Do we got to recap? I guess we should recap it. He went ahead in time. Like he went crazy. He went so far ahead in time. We have no idea yet. But he wherever he was, he landed. He decided to stay for a moment and just see what was going on, because he thought he could. This guy that was coming up to him didn't look all that. In fact, his words were frail, indescribably frail. So he got confident that he would be able to handle that situation. All right, chapter 4. In another moment, we were standing face to face, I and this fragile thing out of futurity. He came straight up to me and laughed into my eyes. The absence from his bearing of any sign of fear struck me at once. Then he turned to the two others who were following him and spoke to them in a strange and very sweet and liquid tongue. There were others coming, and presently a little group of perhaps 8 or 10 of these exquisite creatures were about me. Yeah, we're starting to spin around there, and of course I didn't even clean the windows in the Jeep. I mean, come on. Like I say, if he's looking for quality, you found it. It's just, you got to define the nature of your quality. Alright, so perhaps 8 or 10 of these exquisite creatures was about me. One of them addressed me. It came into my head, oddly enough, that my voice was too harsh and deep for them. So I shook my head. and pointed to my ears and shook it again. He came a step forward, hesitated, and then touched my hand. Then I felt other soft little tentacles upon my back and shoulders. They wanted to make sure I was real. There was nothing in this at all alarming. Indeed, there was something in these pretty little people that inspired confidence, a graceful gentleness, a certain childlike ease. Oh boy, you should be careful. That's never good. And besides, they looked so frail that I could fancy myself flinging the whole dozen of them about like 9 pins. But I made a sudden motion to warn them when I saw their little pink hands feeling at the time machine. Happily then, when it was not too late, I thought of a danger I had here. I can't say it. I had hitherto forgotten. I know the word. I just can't make it happen, guys. All right, let's look back at the Jeep there before I start swearing. Oh, that's a gripping view. Oh boy. See, I gotta get me a little. I guess I just make one. End up getting a copyright infringement or something. So we'll have to put somebody back there and give them a name. Let's start the thing. Well, let's not make it too complicated now. I don't want none of those weird. Yeah, well, you know the kind. You know the kind that you don't want to see. Don't suggest them. Okay, but I made a sudden motion to warn them. Okay, their pink little hands were feeling up his time machine. Happily, when it was not to. Oh boy, I'm gonna try it again. I thought of a danger that I had hitherto that I had forgotten. And reaching over the bars of the machine, I unscrewed the little levers that would set it in motion and put these in my pocket. Then I turned again to see what I could do in the way of communication. And then, looking more nearly into their features, I saw some further peculiarities in their Dresden China type of prettiness. Their hair, which was uniformly curly, came to a sharp end at the neck and cheek. There was not the faintest suggestion of it on the face, and their ears were singularly minute. The mouths were small, with bright red, rather thin lips, and the little chins ran to a point. The eyes were large and mild, and this may seem egotism on my part. I fancied even that there was a certain lack of interest I might have expected in them. As they made no effort to communicate with me, but simply stood round me, smiling and speaking in soft, cooing notes to each other, I began the conversation. I pointed to the time machine and said, "Don't touch my ride, mofos." And I don't think he said that. Yeah, I pointed to the time machine and to myself, then hesitating for a moment how to express time. I pointed to the sun. At once, a quaintly pretty little figure in checkered purple and white followed my gesture, and then astonished me by imitating the sound of thunder. For a moment I was staggered, though the import of his gesture was plain enough. The question had come into my mind abruptly. Were these creatures foes? You may hardly understand how it took me. Oh, we're going to spin back around. Where are we at? Oh, I think we're getting on the big road. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're going to get on the big road here. We'll do the big thing here. And, yeah, you get a little bit of a view of the... Okay, turn, Grover, turn! See, the steering wheel never goes all the way around. I'm pretty sure I could tape his hands there. You know, maybe a little Friday the 13th guy or something. Or is that Jason or is that Michael Myers? I can never tell. We'll put a guy with a hockey mask there and call him Canadian. All right. So this is the view we're going to get for a while. I think I nibble around on this side and that side, but other than that, enjoy. Oh yeah. Whenever you see the lights come on, there's probably the engine brake, but I don't, it's just so flat out here. I just don't know that we're going to see any action at all. All right, so here we go back to the story. He's wondering if these creatures was fools. You may hardly understand how it took me. You see, I had always anticipated that the people of the year 800 and 2,000 odd, 800 and 2,000 odd, would be incredibly in front of us in knowledge, art, and everything. Then one of them suddenly asked me a question that showed him to be on the intellectual level of one of our 5-year-old children. Asked me, in fact, if I had come from the sun in a thunderstorm. It let loose the judgment I had suspended upon their clothes, their frail, light limbs and fragile features. A flow of disappointment rushed across my mind. For a moment, I felt that I had built the time machine in vain. I nodded, pointed to the sun, and gave them such a vivid rendering of a thunderclap as startled them. They all withdrew a pace or so and bowed. Then came one laughing towards me, carrying a chain of beautiful flowers, altogether new to me, and put it about my neck. Oh boy. Here we go. The idea was received with melodious applause, and presently they were all running to and fro for flowers, and laughingly flinging them upon me until I was almost smothered with blossom. You, who have never seen the like, can scarcely imagine what delicate and wonderful flowers countless years of culture had created. Then someone suggested that their plaything should be exhibited in the nearest building, and so I was led past the Sphinx of white marble, which had seemed to watch me all the while with a smile at my astonishment, towards a vast grey edifice of fretted stone. As I went with them, the memory of my confident anticipations of profoundly grave and intellectual propriety came with irresistible merriment to my mind. Oh yeah, he just must have cleaned the windshield in Ronnie. Yeah, or unless, Michael Myers is in there trying to get the windshield cleaned on the Jeep with them dirty old windows. All right, okay, here we go. And to my mind, the building had a huge entry and was altogether of, man, they're gonna put you in a bowl and eat you. All right, dumbass. The building had a huge entry and was altogether of colossal dimensions. Hey, I heard that. What was that? Sounded like a raptor. There is something in there. Oh, it might have been the brake, I guess. That damn thing activated out of no reason. Huh. Guess I need to watch these videos more closely. Yeah, that road is rough. Oh, boy. If you're ever at that Lyman Lake State Park and you want to just boogie up the road to Holbrook or, to the I-40 up there, man, don't even... It's so beat up. The last portion of it is through the reservation, and they have not had any money allotted for that road for some time. And it goes through Playa, so it just sinks, no matter what they do, right? They're never going to throw that kind of money on it. It just doesn't get that kind of traffic. But if you're on it, like the speed limit, I think is 65, you'd be lucky if you could go 35. So plan that when you say, hey, you know what, we just saw it. Because we always used to, stop at Lyman Lake before we head up into Colorado or so, because it's a nice, easy first day for us kind of thing. And holy cow, it wasn't even worth it because we had to backtrack and go around because the road was just so rough that any time that you would have made up by going that way, you just didn't, because you had to go so slow, and you know, and then you had to go see a dentist to get your teeth put back in and all of that. Oh boy, I lost my spot. I lost my spot. Their mouths were small, bright. Oh no, we way past that. Oh right, the arch of the door, strange white flowers. The building was a huge entry, colossal. Yep. Oh yeah, this is where I said I'm pretty sure he's going to get eaten. My general impression of the world I saw over their heads was a tangled waste of beautiful bushes and flowers, a long neglected and yet weedless garden. I saw a number of tall spikes of strange white flowers, measuring a foot, perhaps across the spread of a measuring a foot across the spread of the waxen petals. So it's a pretty good sized flower. They grew scattered as if wild among the variegated shrubs, but as I say, I did not examine them closely at this time. The time machine was left deserted on the turf among the rhododendrons. Oh man, that might be getting close. Rhododendrons, rhododendrons. I think that's closer. I'm getting closer. Oh, look at that guy, just flying by. Yeah, I don't go that fast. On this road here, it's maybe 55, maybe 60. But like I say, speed limit 65. Go get him, Ace. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Turf and the rhododendrons. The arch of the doorway was richly carved, but naturally I did not observe the carving very narrowly, though I fancied I saw suggestions of old Phoenician decorations as I passed through, and it struck me that they were very badly broken and weather-worn. Several more brightly clad people met me at the doorway, and enough garlanded with flowers and surrounded by eddying mass of bright, soft-colored robes and shining white limbs in a melodious whirl of laughter and laughing speech. Oh man, they're totally throwing you in a big old bucket. Alright, here we go. The big doorway opened into a proportionately great hall hung with brown. What the hell's brown? The big doorway opened into a proportionately great hall hung with brown. And there you have it. The roof was in shadow, and the windows, partially glazed with colored glass and partially unglazed, admitted a tempered light. Oh man, there's going to be like, what's that one? Grendel. Gonna be Grendel show up. That's what's going to happen there. You know that. The floor was made up of huge blocks of some very hard white metal, not plates nor slabs, blocks, and it was so much worn, as I judged, by the going to and fro of past generations, as to be deeply channeled along the more frequented ways. Transverse to the length were innumerable tables made of slabs of polished stone, so like altars, like sacrificial, raised perhaps a foot from the floor. Oh boy. And upon these were heaps of fruit. Oh boy, don't eat that fruit now. Some I recognized as a kind of hypertrophied raspberry and orange, but for the most part they were strange, I'll say. So, oh yeah, so yeah, we're just gonna cruise along, enjoy your Jeep ride, That jackass was on my tail the whole way. I could barely see him in the camera. Between the tables was scattered a great number of cushions. Upon these my conductors seated themselves, signing for me to do likewise. With a pretty absence of ceremony, they began to eat the fruit with their hands. Oh boy. Hey man, you're going to look like them? You're going to be all docile and all welcome. Okay. Signing for me to do with pretty absence, began to eat with their hands, flinging peel and stalks and so forth into the round openings in the sides of the tables. I was not loath to follow their example, for I felt thirsty and hungry as I did, so I surveyed the hall at my leisure. And perhaps the thing that struck me most was its dilapidated look. The stained glass windows, which displayed only a geometrical pattern, were broken in many places. The curtains that hung. Oh, see, I hear that. Why is that thing activated? That's how rough that damn road is. Because there ain't no way I hit the brakes. See, I was always wondering about that. Good thing I really don't have it set up. Alright. Here we go. Geometrical pattern broken in many places. And the curtains that hung across the lower end were thick with dust. And it caught my eye that the corner of the marble table near me was fractured. Nevertheless, the general effect was extremely rich and picturesque. There were perhaps a couple of hundred people dining in the hall, and most of them seated as near to me as they could come, were watching me with interest, their little eyes shining over the fruit they were eating. All were clad in the same soft and yet strong silky material. Fruit, by the by, was all their diet. These people of the remote future were strict vegetarians, and while I was with them, in spite of some carnal cravings, I had to be frugivorous also. Indeed, I found afterwards that horses, cattle, sheep, and dogs had followed the oh boy, I should know this one. Zila camps. The no. Some kind of a saurus. I think a saurus. No way. No, gonna have to get somebody to say it to me. Into extinction. But the fruits were very delightful. One in particular that seemed to be in season all the time I was there. A flowery thing in a 3-sided husk was especially good, and I made it my staple. At first, I was puzzled by all these strange fruits and by their strange flowers I saw, but later I began to perceive the import. Oh, I can't believe I'm still making your travel in there. That antenna, that radio antenna on the Jeep there, never tight. I think it's supposed to be able to be, real floppy and loose all the time so that you could go through a car wash with a Jeep. Yeah, that's not happening. And never listen to the radio. Does it have a radio? Yeah, it must have a radio. Okay, especially good, strange flowers. I began to... Yep. However, I am telling you of my fruit dinner in the distant future now. So soon as my appetite was a little checked, I determined to make a resolute attempt to learn the speech of these new men of mine. Clearly, that was the next thing. I heard that again. Yeah, that is... Oh boy, I'm all over that. Why? That's how rough that damn road is. That thing jumps around. I'm going to have to maybe strap it down a little bit. Wow. Okay. Clearly, that was the next thing to do. The fruit seemed a convenient thing to begin upon. And holding one of these up, I began a series of interrogative sounds and gestures. I had some considerable difficulty in conveying my meaning. At first, my efforts met with a stare of surprise or inextinguishable laughter, but presently a fair-haired little creature seemed to grasp my attention and repeated my name. They had to chatter and explain the business at great length to each other, and my first attempts to make the exquisite little sounds of their language caused an immense amount of amusement. However, I felt like a schoolmaster amidst children, and persisted. And presently I had a score of noun substantives, at least at my command. And then I got to demonstrative pronouns and even the verb to eat. But it was slow work, and the little people soon tired and wanted to get away from my interrogations. So I determined, rather of necessity, to let them give their lessons in little doses when they felt inclined. And very little doses I found they were before long. For I never met people more indolent and more easily fatigued. Oh, we're going to turn on to the 60. That's what we do. See? I hit the brakes there. I never heard that thing come on once. But at least we off of that not good road. Oh yeah, I'll be switching to the front view here. And yeah, you can watch just how exciting that is. Oh yeah. All right, here we go. Where was it? I'm telling you, no. Calm, no. Grasp my attention, repeat my name. Very little. All right. They're indolent and easily fatigued. A queer thing I soon discovered about my little hosts, and that was that their lack of interest. They would come to me with eager cries of astonishment, like children. But, like children, they would soon stop examining me and wander away after some other toy. The dinner and my conversational beginnings ended. I noted for the first time that almost all of those who had surrounded me at first were gone. It is odd, too, how speedily I came to disregard these little people. I went out through the portal into the sunlit world again as soon as my hunger was satisfied. I was continually meeting more of these men of the future, who would follow me a little distance, chatter and laugh about me, and, having smiled and gesticulated in a friendly way, leave me again to my own devices. The calm of evening. Ooh, there's the big change. Yeah. Yeah, you notice that crack in the windshield. We travel along with that one for a couple of years. Well, we we bought Ronnie new. It's a 2016 new Marvin antenna, model number 4037, and we didn't even get first trip. It was the first. We didn't get 20 minutes away from the dealership, and that crack jumped out from the side and went whoosh, all the way up the side. So that was that. And cracked windshield way over there. That ain't bugging me too much. Not that much anyway. Alright, so let's get back to this story. Oh yeah, the queer thing. Yep, okay, yep. Leave me again. Here we go to my own devices. The calm of the evening was upon the world as I emerged from the great hall. And the scene was lit. Oh boy, this sounds bad. And the scene was lit by the warm glow of the setting sun. At first, things were very confusing. Everything was so entirely different from the world I had known. Even the flowers. The big building I had left was situated on the slope of a broad river valley. But the Thames had shifted, perhaps a mile from its present position. I resolved to mount to the summit of a crest, perhaps a mile and a half away, from which I could get a wider view of this our planet in the year 802,701. Somebody better write that out, because it don't make no damn sense. We rolling into show low. For that, I should explain. Oh, let's just take a peek here. Well, okay, blah, 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 but wonderfully tuned. Okay, yep. For that, I should explain, was the date the little dials of my machine recorded. Oh, okay. So as I walked, I was watchful for every impression that could possibly help to explain the condition of ruinous splendor in which I found the world. For ruinous it was. A little way up the hill, for instance, was a great heap of granite, bound together by masses of aluminum, a vast labyrinth of precipitous walls and crumbled heaps, amidst which were thick heaps of very beautiful pagoda-like plants, nettles possibly, but wonderfully tinted with brown about the leaves, and incapable of stinging. It was evidently the derelict remains of some vast structure. To what end built I could not determine. It was here I was destined at a later date to have a very strange experience, the first intimidation of a still stranger discovery, but of that I will speak in its proper place. Woo, baby. All right, let's just call it good right there. While we roll into the Maverick here in Sholo, we'll get to see what the price of fuel was that day. Under $3. Yeah. Well, now you internet sleuths can just go ahead and find out exactly what day that was. All right, so we're just gonna do this, and we'll just end it off here with a little sunset view of Lyman Lake State Park, and we'll just call it good. Good, beautiful little park. Not very many people. Hot in the summer, but you figure that out. Here we go. Sempsey. And then we go Big Rosie. You know Big Rosie's going to show up. There you go, Rosie. You go, baby. Do your thing.